going on, Devin? Good to see the first person in here, Devin Washington. Thanks a lot, buddy, for stopping by. Hey there, how you doing there, Angel? Glad to see you in here. Like always, I appreciate it, guys and girls that come out and watch the show real quickly here for 40 minutes or so. We'll give it another minute or two and see if some other people trickle in, and then I'll get started with some latest lines. The lines have changed just slightly a little bit. I always like to go over those. Go over some other news. I don't think there's much to report as far as injury. The two girls that were going in injured tonight were Epiphany Prince and Shavonte Zealous, and they're both still out. So we don't have to worry about them. It's going to be interesting to see how New York handles the backcourt today against Connecticut. It was really, really tough in the backcourt. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you can, no problems with audio. Just want to make sure. I mean, I had this set up for weeks now, so I would think everything's okay. Sup, T-Dot? Glad to see you in here. Again, just getting a audio check. Everything good with the audio? All right, thanks a lot, Devin. I appreciate that. All right, yeah, a little tricky slate, man. That's for sure. All right, I'm going to dive right in because it's 6 o'clock on the nose. I wanted to give it 2 or 3 minutes and then try to discuss stuff with you guys for the next 40 minutes. And then, of course, like always, I like to give you guys a chance to, just in case you need to make changes, or myself, because I'm here to not only help you guys, but I also feed off of you guys as well. So I do appreciate you guys coming out. Like always, I mean, you know, I'm definitely very thankful. All right, so let's dive in, man. As far as lines, not too much in the change of lines. I mean, earlier we had what we had here. We had New York starting today. The early lines as of earlier today were New York and Connecticut, 167 implied total, with Connecticut favored at home by 9. Now those numbers have gone to 166.5 implied total with Connecticut favored by 10.5, man, which is really another Las Vegas, another Vegas line that can probably hit them close to home again today, because New York has, you know, in 2 games against Connecticut, they have played them, you know, tooth and nail. I mean, they have been there in every game, in the 2 games they have played. And they actually have won 1 game. So, I mean, I know they were a while back. New York is not playing as well right now, but I mean, anything can happen, as we all know from last night. I gave you guys a couple of nice plays. There were some plays that turned out pretty good, and there were a couple of bum ones, especially the Valley plays were horrific last night, and the Dallas girls were just, you know, terrible. I mean, Stevens as well as Thornton were really a major letdown. But so that's where we stand as far as the lines. Phoenix and Las Vegas was the implied total 174 earlier today. It has now dropped to 172. Earlier, Vegas was favored by 2.5. Now they're favored by 3.5. So this game should be an interesting game. I mean, Phoenix is playing on a back-to-back. They didn't have no issue the last time they played a back-to-back back in June 16th and 17th. Tarasi, as well as Griner, definitely played well enough in the 2 games. So I don't see no setbacks there. There is no injury report, like I said a few moments ago. All the injured parties are Prince and Ms. Zealous, and they're both still out, of course. Some interesting numbers to go over. As you know, I always calculate the last 3 or 4 games. I'm doing the actually last 4 games for this particular slate. New York and Dallas. New York comes in as, out of the 4 teams, they come in as the team that has surrendered the most points up in the front court. They've given up 54.2 points per game over the course of the last 4 games, and they were averaging 48.9, pretty much 49. So they've actually slipped. have been in a little bit of a funk up front, defending forwards and centers, giving up about 5 or 6 more points up front. So it's something to consider going into this slate. As far as guards are concerned, they've given up 37.2 points per game, and they have also slipped a little bit there. Their average is 34.7. On the other side of the ball, Connecticut, they're coming in pretty much one of the top better teams here against forwards over the last few games. They have only given up 45.7 points per game to forwards and centers, and that's actually they have improved there by 5 points, because their average is 50.8 points per game. On the guard side of the ball, 31 points per game to opponents over the course of the last 4 games, and their average is 27. So they have had a little bit of trouble with guards as of late. But again, those games were against Atlanta, Dallas, Seattle, and Washington, all contending teams. So they definitely have played some really good opponents over the last 4 games, Connecticut. Moving on further, Phoenix is coming in as the second team in this slate, giving up the most points to the front court, or surrendering 52.2 points per game in the front court over the course of the last 4 games, and their average is 46.5. They were actually second in the league as far as overall for the league for the year, but they've had their share of problems up front. Facing Vegas just 4 games ago, they gave up 48 points up front, so something to take into consideration into today's game. And then you got Minnesota put up 46, Chicago 58 up front, and Seattle 57. So they have faced 4 pretty solid teams. Chicago is pretty solid right now, the way they've been playing. So that was definitely a tough matchup there for Phoenix. The guards, they've been giving up 40 points per game to guards, which is also definitely have been an area of weakness for them as well over the 4 games against those same 4 opponents. Their average was 33.1. So both on the front court and the back court, Phoenix has been surrendering up to more than 7 points more per game. So an area to target, obviously, is some areas to target there that you can look into, and I would go into a little deeper on that. Vegas, on the other hand, they're coming in the third best as far as surrendering games points to forwards and centers, 46.5 points per game over the course of the 4 games, and that was against fairly decent opposition. Granted, they did give up 47 against Indiana and 66 to Los Angeles to Spark, but they did hold Minnesota to 39 points up front, as well as Phoenix in their previous game to 34. So definitely something to consider today with Phoenix up front. They did add Miss Peters to their roster, obviously for rebounding help. So maybe she's a possible value play for tonight's game. We'll discuss that in a moment. But I think that these matchups, I mean, they really have had a tough go here they have done well against the front court of these teams. As far as the guards, they're surrendering 36.5 points per game over the course of the 4 games Vegas has, and their average is 34.4. So they have slipped just about 2 more points per game over the course of the 4 games, again against the same opposition: Minnesota, LA, Phoenix, and Indiana. All right. When I look at the game, when I look down and I check everything out as far as statistics, as far as where the players are at, how they've been playing over the last 4 or 5 games, the better plays that I believe are, for me, let me just get that here for you guys. Okay, I think up in the when we think of the guards, obviously Taurasi is definitely, for me, after everything I've looked at, I mean, she has played this team 3 times, and in the 3 games, she has put up 42.2 fantasy points per game. So she definitely has Las Vegas number, unless they double team her or something, which I doubt very much they'll do. She's going to get her shots. We know that Taurasi takes 14, 15 shots a game. I mean, I can actually double check that. Taurasi, yeah, she takes nearly 14 shots a game. So, I mean, she's going to get her shots. Okay, so Diana Taurasi, for me, is in play. Is a solid play tonight. If you don't go Taurasi, guys, I really think that you should definitely consider Kayla McBride. $300 cheaper. I think the Taurasi just has for $300 more. I think Taurasi is definitely the best play. Simply, she's capable of getting you close to 50. She's been good at 42 plus in the 3 games against Las Vegas, and not only that, she is, she's just feisty, man. She's gonna get her shots. She's gonna play her minutes. So it's just a lot of things going for her. She's a a great three-point shooter. She's going to take about 10 to 12 shots from three as well. So she gets a lot of shots. And what a lot of, again, when you got that much minutes on the floor and you take that many shots and they're starting to go down for you, you're going to accumulate a lot of fantasy points. So definitely Taurasi is the best play at guard on this slate, hands down. She may be a little chalky. I don't think so. Some people are going to probably fade her and probably do McBride or Courtney Williams or possibly Jasmine Thomas. When I look down a little bit further, McBride, like I said, she's averaging 32.5 points per game, fantasy points per game, over the course of the 3 games against Phoenix. So she's not too shabby, but definitely not the same numbers as Taurasi. I know she's going to ball. Kayla McBride is a competitor. This is going to be a shootout between these two girls. They're going to definitely go at it. We definitely don't want Taurasi to get into a scuffle. She's she is very aggressive. She's very feisty. She's a beast, man. And she's a physical specimen by nature. She has just been fabulous this year, but she's let her emotions get a little out of control as of late. So if she doesn't put herself in a bad situation, she could definitely help Phoenix out very badly here. Phoenix is coming in. Remember, another thing to point out that I didn't point out last night, Las Vegas hasn't played yet since the All-Star break, so they've not been playing as a team for 7-8 games in 9 days or something like that, maybe even as many as 10 days. And they're coming in. They came in here. They're coming into this game 4-1 over the course of the last 5 games and 2-0 at home during that same stretch. So by all means, look what happened to Atlanta last night. I should have pointed that out to you. You could always have that happen, especially when a team is playing well. So just don't be surprised if they have a letdown here today. All right, so just make sure that is definitely something you consider when you make your last minute decisions here on these lineups. So we move down a little further here. McBride, after McBride, Bonner is in play, but I think for $200 more, I'd rather go for the whole shebangs and go with Diana Taurasi. So Bonner, even though again, if this is your first time here or you're new to WNBA, Bonner is listed on Fanduel as a guard. She plays forward. Okay, guys, so just make sure you understand that she could play everything. She could play forward. She could play center. I mean, she's 6'5". She's a big girl, very athletic, but she mostly plays 3 and 4 for Phoenix. Okay, so I mean, and I'm looking at the slate here today. I rather like the forwards that are in the slate as opposed to Bonner. So at the guard position, I'd rather go with Taurasi. But McBride, like I said, is in play. Bonner is definitely a fade for me. Not to say that she might not have, I mean, knowing the situation and the way WNBA has been going so far this year, anything can happen. Bonner could have the big game and Taurasi could have the letdown, but I'm still believe that Taurasi is the best bet as far as all statistical matters go. Courtney Williams in play. I prefer Jasmine Thomas. I think the Connecticut girls are definitely solid players today. Jasmine is coming in. Let me see what we have here for Jasmine. Jasmine is coming in 26.9 fantasy points per game in the 2 games against New York. So nearly pretty much a 27 spot average. And that's above her average. So I really think that she's definitely in a good spot here against New York. Other than that, Brittany Boyd for New York. Now, granted, New York is going to have to come up with something here. I don't know how they're going to, that's the whole thing about New York is very tricky on figuring out what they're going to do with their guards. We know that Brittany Boyd has been getting the brunt of the work, so Brittany Boyd is definitely someone that is in play in this matchup, especially if you're thinking of a game stack. You might want to stick one New York girl in there. That would be Brittany Boyd. I would probably go that way if I were you guys. If not, then I would say you definitely should go down to like Sugar Rogers or something like that. But again, looking at these guards here, Brittany Boyd in play. I prefer Jasmine Thomas, $200 cheaper. I think she is a better bet. Boyd has good upside. She's capable of getting you 40. So she could get you a 8x on that 65. But she is pretty pricey, man. So, but I like Jasmine Thomas. I think Jasmine Thomas is a good play. Boyd, for instance, Boyd has been averaging in the 2 games against. She played 2 games against Phoenix. Against New York. She put up 29.6 fantasy points, but on the other game she only played. I think she only played 11 minutes or something like that. I'm not too sure. So she's not someone to consider. Brittany Boyd is definitely someone that you can consider tonight. Like I said, I prefer Taurasi. I would prefer McBride over those girls. But if you're not going with Boyd, definitely Jasmine Thomas. All right. My next best play that I think, as a matter of fact, I'm just gonna go over here to my screen. As you can see here, I have Taurasi, McBride, and then Jasmine Thomas. Those are my top 3 that I like in the guards position. Okay. After that, I really like as a value play, I like January. Definitely Brianne January for me is in play. I mean, why not? She's only 3,800, and then you look at the slate at guard, really in that ballpark. Let's put it this way, guys. One thing's for certain. For today's slate, you're going to need to find 2 or 3 value plays, hands down. You're going to need to find 3 players because of Fanduel and the way the pricing is. I already looked at it. I did multiple different lineups earlier. It comes down to you're definitely going to need at least 3 value plays. You're going to need 3 girls in that 4 and under range. And Brianna January, if you look at the 4 and under at guard, she is probably the best bet here. She has the best the best chance of playing on the court and playing for a good 20 minutes or better, which I always tell you guys. Definitely focus on those girls that are playing 20 minutes or better, especially this late in the year. You don't want girls off the bench playing only 11 or 12 minutes unless they have tremendous upside for a GPP play. All right? So I'm looking at definitely here, you know, Brianne January is solid. 23, 33, and 35 minutes over the course of the last 3 games, and she's put up 20 and 36 in the last 2. Granted, she did have that ugly game against Minnesota, but, I mean, why would not you shouldn't pass up. I don't think she's someone that you could pass up here. At least looking at the range from $4,000 to $3,000, she's probably the best bet other than Kia Nurse. And when it comes to the New York team, you definitely are looking at in the New York game. If you're not looking at Brittany Boyd, I'm not high on Hartley today at 5,100. I would go all the way down to Sugar Rogers at 43 and take a shot at her. She's more than likely going to start. And then you have Kia Nurse coming off the bench. I think she's definitely someone that you should consider today, especially if you're going to go and utilize some of your savings to get 1 or 2 studs up front. Definitely Kia Nurse is someone you should consider at 4,000. You need 20 from her, and she has upside. She can get you 40 plus any given day. So definitely someone to consider. Brianne January is another good play, and like I said, here at the bottom, there is really nobody else, man. You know, Talbot might get a couple minutes. I think she played how many minutes? She probably is playing more minutes than Jefferson. Mariah Jefferson is in play as a low value play. Yeah, this girl's been getting some minutes. So I mean, with January playing much better now, she's probably going to be limited to 15, maybe 16, or at maybe maximum for Stephanie 20. So I still think that either one is a good buy here at 38 and 3,600. I'm leaning more towards January. All right, Jefferson is in play for a value play here at guard, and basically that's it. I'm not on any one of these other girls here. Nobody really plays sufficient minutes. And like I said earlier in the morning video, you know, if you're gauging and targeting this game as a game stack, you got to go with Rogers here. And then again, it's a crapshoot here between Strickland and Banham as far as Connecticut. And if you're gonna go either one of those girls, you're definitely gonna have to go with Strickland because she has the upside. You know, they open up that floor space. She knocks down those threes. She gets cooking. They're gonna keep feeding her, and she could have an explosive game. So Shakina Strickland is definitely someone you can consider at 4,300. But I would say, you know, save $300. Go to Kia Nurse. I truly believe Kia Nurse will get some time today, and she could be a very sneaky play here. All right. On the forward sides, I definitely love Miss Wilson. Is definitely hands down a good play. She has played 3 games against Phoenix, only has averaged 38.6 fantasy points per game in those 3 games, but she has 50-point upside. The team is playing good. Phoenix is right now a little susceptible up front. They've been having their troubles up front. So I would definitely consider having Asia Wilson have at least a nice significant amount of time on the floor if she does not get into foul trouble, and give you some quality minutes and possibly some quality scoring against Brittany Griner, who's coming from a back-to-back. Not that the back-to-back is going to harm her. Griner, 51.5 fantasy points per game in the 3 games against Las Vegas. So technically, as far as numbers are concerned, she has had the better performance in the 3 games against Vegas than Wilson has had against Phoenix. So if you wanted to go that way, you can. The only drawback is you could look at is that she played last night. Maybe there's some little lingering, maybe a little tired today. I don't know. I think she's in a good physical specimen. She's in great shape. I don't see the reason why she would not play massive minutes today, especially that they need a victory. Remember, there could be a possible letdown here for Las Vegas. So you definitely should consider Miss Griner as well as anybody on the Phoenix side of the ball. So Griner's in play, man. You know, and she has with that 51.5, she's pretty much averaging 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So she's putting up really, really nice numbers against Las Vegas. Tina Charles is definitely someone to consider if you don't want to go with Wilson and Griner. Definitely, Tina Charles is in play, 8,300. She's averaging 42.7 fantasy points per game over the course of those 2 games against Connecticut. All right, so she has put up good numbers against Connecticut, more than 1 fantasy point per minute. She's doing very, very well. All right, so Tina Charles, definitely a solid play. What we have here? Shanae Agumake is definitely my next favorite play. I definitely like Shanae Agumake over Alyssa Thomas, but then again, knowing the situation, Alyssa Thomas has a better game, plays more minutes, and Shanae, and then I end up having a bum lineup. But I definitely like Shanae Agumake. She is in most of my lineups. I think she's in a very, very good spot here. Remember, New York up front, man, they're vulnerable. Not only that, Connecticut is playing better up front defensively. And secondly, Shanae Agumake, she's a fine ball player. I don't know why she's getting the minimal minutes that she has gotten. But, I expect her to play good minutes today, and I expect her to put up some serious numbers. 7,400, a little pricey, but again, hey, it's a 2-game slate. Everyone is available. You can mix and match any way you want. You could make multiple lineups in this 2-game slate and still be very effective. But I would, personally, my advice would be is lock down 4 or 5 and then just build around those 4 or 5. That's what I would do. Okay, so Shanae Agumake in play, 7,400, and she's put up 35.4 fantasy points per game during the course of the 2 games that she's had against New York. And I think she's going to get at least more than 1 fantasy point per minute, depending on how many minutes she plays on the floor. Alyssa Thomas in play, not putting up the same amount of numbers, 29.5 fantasy points per game against New York. And then Jonquel Jones could be a very sneaky play. Don't fall asleep on Jonquel Jones. We know she has upside. She can get you 35, possibly 40. At 5'9", at 5,900, you need 29. She could definitely get you, 7, 8x. In a matchup like this. Anything is possible, like I said. You never know, especially in the WNBA. If you guys have been doing this long enough and been watching me long enough, we've had some crazy games. Just like I discussed early on when I started, I discussed last night's slate. Anything can happen today. I moved down further. As far as some value, man, Kia Vaughn stands out to me. She stands out at me at 4,200. Somebody's got to step up for New York. I think she has the best chance, other than, of course, Tina Charles is going to get hers. But they need help up front if they're going to keep this game close. And considering that New York has played Connecticut fairly well throughout the whole year, the thing about New York is that the front court doesn't stand out that much because everybody contributes. When it comes to rebounding, Kia Vaughn is involved. Marissa Coleman, Miss Stokes, all these girls definitely get a little bit of time on the floor, and they all make an effort to get the rebounds, and that's why they stay a little competitive. It's not someone really standing out or 2 or 3 players standing out as far as rebounding and assisting and all that for New York. So that's what makes New York a little bit of a scary team to play against, especially after you have played the team Connecticut 2 times and given them a run for their money. So Vegas having them, 10.5 or whatever, 11-point underdogs. That is pretty steep for this game here. So Connecticut better put up, but I think it's going to be a little more competitive game. So and Kia Vaughn for me is the best possible play. Now, granted, there are some girls down here. Little may have a better game, but now they have added. Not so long ago, they added Miss Peters. And Miss Peters is in here for rebounding. She played last night, and she actually got all her fantasy points were rebounds. I think she rebounded 4 or 5 rebounds. They're going to need her. They're going to need her tonight. So she may be someone to definitely consider here. I'm sure a number of other people have discussed her. I'm sure for those who follow WNBA, as fans, you guys that play as DFS players, we all know that this could be a possible sneaky play here at 3,000. She's at the bare minimum, $3,000. So not a bad idea to stick her in there in the lineup and hope that she gets 20, 25 minutes today and maybe put up at least 10, 15, maybe possibly 20 fantasy points. It can happen. So Peters is someone to consider here. I definitely like Carolyn Swords as well at 3,200. I think those are the 2 best value plays here in this slate today for the forward spot. All right, I'm not on Angel Robinson today. I had her last night. She didn't perform. She's good for 1 fantasy point per minute, but if she's not getting sufficient time, she's not going to get you more. It could all turn differently for me today. I mean, I'm saying this. I'm not on her today. I'm considering Swords and more Miss Peters as a possible value play, because I definitely want to be able to save somewhere where I can pay up for a couple of studs. So I think today's slate is perfect. The way FanDuel has this with the pricing, guys, you're forced to put 3 or 4 value plays here in this slate today. So it's all a matter of which are the 3 or 4 that you're going to go with, which guards or which forwards, okay? Because you definitely want to stick, if you can, 2 solid forwards on this lineup, and you want to at least get 1 stud guard, possibly 2, all right? And that's where we stand there. I mean, that's where I stand as far as the forwards. I think, value play, best bet, Caroline Swords or Miss Peters, hands down here. And then at guard, I'm looking at the guard spot. I'm looking at Brianne January. I mean, that's considered cheap, 3,800 for the minutes that she plays. We just need her to produce, hit some threes. Anything can happen. But you need to make space for some studs in here. So you're gonna have to take either her, Miss Jefferson, Talbot. Those 3 are in play, and Miss Nurse. I'm not too fond of anybody else up here other than Sugar Rogers for New York. Could be a possible nice sneaky play here today. All right. So let me move on. As far as game stacks or team stacks, I like the Boyd Charles for New York, and for Connecticut, definitely love Jasmine Thomas with Shanae Agumake. I think that's probably my favorite team stack for today on this slate. You could go with Jasmine Thomas and Alyssa Thomas. You can go with the 2 Thomases, or you can go. You could go straight up front with Agumake and Alyssa Thomas, but I think this it's better to just choose one of those 2 girls and then get maybe Miss Tina Charles or possibly Griner or Asia Wilson as one of your other studs. All right. On the Phoenix side, not much to choose there. Tarazi, Griner are the best there as far as a team stack. And Las Vegas obviously is McBride and Wilson. They're the key 2 components to that team. Offensively, they get the most touches, they get the most minutes, and they take the most shots. So if one of them is not doing well, obviously it definitely unfolds for the Aces. All right, guys. All right. As far as a game stack, for me, just before I start looking at your questions, man, it's tough, but I broke this down earlier myself a few times. I see where I can get 3 or 4 Phoenix Las Vegas players in that late game, okay, and target the late game, and then just utilize maybe 2 plays from the New York Connecticut game. But you could do a New York Connecticut stack if you're doing multiple lineups. I would say more than 5 lineups. I mean, yeah, I would say definitely you could definitely because I've done a few already. Mix and match New York and Connecticut. You could definitely get a stack out of there and get 1 or 2 players from Phoenix, from the Phoenix LA game, and vice versa. I think you could do 5 at least from the Phoenix Vegas game, and then get 2 decent plays from the New York Connecticut game. So you could definitely utilize any one as a game stack today. All right, let me see what you guys got. Let me get to the top. Give me a moment. Because, obviously it's important for me to try. Do you trust Miss Hartley? Okay, first thing, Miss Angel, Peters or Jefferson for the late game? Wow. You know what? I'd rather take the bare minimum. I'm being honest with you, Angel. I think I'm leaning towards Peters. But Jefferson I've used several times before. She's solid, good fantasy points per minute. It's just not enough minutes, man. It's a little scary, I think Peters, because they need her to rebound, she's going to get some floor time. She got a 14 or 15 minutes last night. Let me just double check that real quick. Where is she? Miss Peters, I think she got a 14 or 15 minutes, man. Yeah, 14 minutes, and she put up, and these were all rebounds, as you can see, 4 rebounds. That's what they need her to do. If she gets a couple putbacks, that'll be good. But I mean, I'll be honest with you. If you're thinking Peters, Jefferson, I'd rather come down and play Miss Swords. To be honest with you, I'm more in favor of Swords than I am of Jefferson, for or even using Swords instead of Peters. That's what I'm thinking. It's just my opinion, but I mean, yeah. If you ask me, which one between Peters and Jefferson, I probably will lean towards Peters. Bria Hartley, no. I'm not on Bria Hartley, Devin, today. I rather go Sugar Rogers or Kia Nurse coming off the bench and having hopefully a massive game. I like Kia Nurse today. How you doing there, James? Hey, what's up? Kicks good. James, yes, Jonquel Jones, JJ is definitely someone to possibly consider today. Yeah, I would consider her at 5,900. She has good upside in a matchup with New York where she's basically gonna battle against Kia Vaughn. That's why I say Kia Vaughn at 4,200, not a bad possible. If you're stacking New York, Connecticut, she's gonna have to be one of those forwards for you if you want to squeeze in enough plays there. But Jonquel Jones will fit in there as well. Nurse, Rogers, or Boyd, more points with no prints. Wow. Okay, first Jones and Agumake both. I'm thinking. Yeah, I love Shanae Agumake. I know she's a little more pricier. I definitely love Shanae Agumake today. If you ask me, for the Connecticut front court, I'm definitely going with her. Nurse, Rogers, and Boyd, more points with no print. Yeah, I would think so too. It's tricky, man. This is the thing about New York. We just don't know with these guys, with this coaching staff. We just don't know. They go, I guess, according to who's playing well enough, and that's the whole thing. It's like it's a pick 'em. Let's put it this way: it's a sure pick 'em. You're gonna just have to hope that you select the right girl. I personally feel that Nurse and Rogers are decent plays today. I really do. If you're going to go with the best possible guard for New York, then you got to go Boyd. You got to go Boyd as far as how she's been playing. Taurasi, 8,100. Yeah, she is expensive, but like I said at the beginning of the live show, she's hands down, she's the best play there today, and she's had great numbers against Las Vegas, and she has played well even on a back-to-back earlier this year. So I mean, yeah, I think Taurasi is solid. She's gonna be This girl is just a physical specimen, guys. I mean, she is just in great shape. She takes care of herself. She is a competitor at heart. She's gonna battle. Granted, don't get me wrong, Kayla McBride is going to come to ball too. So one of these girls is going to definitely have a great game. They may both have a great game, but I think the upside and the one that has the better chance to have the big game and needs to have the big game is Diana Taurasi, because Phoenix has lost 4 in a row. And be careful, like I said before, could possibly be a letdown today for Las Vegas, considering that they've been out not playing for such a long time. Look what happened to Atlanta last night. Bonner 7-9. James, I am not on Bonner, man. But then again, like I said earlier, she may go out and light it up, man. I mean, she plays 3-4, the 3-4 position for Phoenix. I mean, they need her up front. She is definitely a good rebounder. She does a lot of everything for Phoenix. She hasn't had great numbers against Las Vegas. I still think the best 2 plays for Phoenix. I think the best 3 plays for Phoenix today is Taurasi in the backcourt with, surprisingly, I think January could be very, very, could be a difference maker today. And up front, definitely Griner. Liberty guards are suspect, James, as we know. They're, and it's not only the suspect aspects of the Liberty guards, it's just the way they just coach these girls, and the rotation is crazy. It's one of the craziest ones out of all the teams. Liberty, no, I mean Connecticut. Yeah, I see that. Liberty guards against Connecticut guards, at least as far as statistically, no. New York guards shouldn't be able to do much at all against Connecticut. But we're giving them the benefit of the doubt simply because the Liberty have played Connecticut well. So anything gives. Anything can possibly happen today. That's the scary part. So if you're going to go with New York guards, I would rather go with someone coming off the bench. I don't think Hartley is the right play today. She more than likely is starting. But I think a Sugar Rogers or starting as small forward, because, I mean, she's going to be here at guard. I think she's going to be a small forward start for New York today. So then you got her starting the game with Hartley and Brittany Boyd. So off the bench, I really like first person that comes to me is definitely Kia Nurse, who has pretty good upside, could have a 30, 40 plus game. She's been able to do that before if she gets the minutes. Angel, you need 2 values. Yeah, I think the best value play, all right, if you're thinking up front, like I said, I like Carolyn Swords. I definitely like Miss Peters to come in and get some rebounding. And you could go with Angel Robinson at 3,600. I played her last night. She only got 11 and 11. I mean, it's not enough minutes. She's good when she gets the minutes. It's hard to figure out if Phoenix is going to do that. I think now that they got Miss Peters, they're trying to work her in because she played 14 minutes last night. So she may get up in upwards of 20 minutes tonight, maybe even more. So something tells me lean towards Peters and take the 3,000. She may be chalky because I'm sure my thinking is the same thinking with a lot of DFS players. So she more than likely could be a little chalky here, but that's okay. Remember, being chalky is fine as long as you have 2 or 3 different other players that someone else doesn't have. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being chalky. If somebody falls on their face as a chalky player, the 40, the 50, the 60% that own that player is going to go down as well. It's just who are the surrounding cast you have around them. That's going to be key. Top 2 studs. I think today is Miss Wilson, and I really like Taurasi. I mean, at guard is Taurasi, and for me, up front is Asia Wilson. Swords, yes, Swords could be a sneaky play. Taurasi and Wilson. Yep, okay. James Wilson, I'm locked. Okay. Nia Coffey. Yeah, Angel, I saw that. Nia Coffey has had a little bit of success. You know, she had one game. Let me see here. I'm going to check for you guys right now. I think I saw that when I was looking at this late last night. The Miss Coffey early in the season. Let's see here. Coffey against Phoenix. Right here. Yeah, she played 25 minutes back on June 17th and put up nearly 23 fantasy points. Almost 1 fantasy point per minute. Put up 11, 12, and 1. Could be a play. I mean, you know, hey, 3,100, but we can't look back then. We got to look at what's going on now, and she's only played 7, 17, 9. It's just not enough minutes. We don't know if she's going to get them. That's the whole mystery. That's the whole mind-boggling situation we have here as DFS players when we have Fanduel do this to us as far as these, outrageous prices they have. You got to come up with 3 value plays, and then you got to hope that you pull the right one out of the hat, so to speak. You know, so it's a pick 'em, man. It's a pick 'em. I say value Swords, and I like the factors that maybe Peters might get even more minutes today after 14 last night and 4 rebounds. They need the rebounding. Phoenix does, and if you're gonna go any higher, I will probably consider Robinson or maybe even Miss Marissa Coleman today at 39. You need 19. She's gonna get some minutes. I don't know how effective she will be, but if she is effective, New York does that. They'll ride the player, and she'll play more minutes. Hulky says, I'm done with Robinson. Yeah, it's just sometimes just not enough minutes, man. You know, I mean, what can we do, man? We look at numbers. We can do everything. We can be looking at stuff until we blue in the face. And with WNBA, is so much different than the NBA, man. It really is. It's a totally different league. The way the coaching has been handled, the way the players are rotated. You have a better grasp of the NBA after a few games into the season, and especially if you follow the NBA really religiously, you'll know already in October after about 3 or 4 games what the rotation may look like. You know, Jonquel Jones, definitely someone to consider. Coffey or Robinson, man. Cody, I would say Robinson. She's probably going to get time. Nia Coffey, I just looked at her numbers right in front of here. She just, it's just too choppy, the minutes, man. 17, 9, 6. I mean, it's just like you really don't know what's going to happen with her. Robinson at least gets 15, minutes or better, 15-plus minutes. You have a chance, If you're going with anybody, like I said before, simple little tip, man. Someone that is low value, you definitely want someone that's going to be able to exceed value. So at 3,400 or 3,500, if that player can give you 20 minutes or better, or even if they give you 15 minutes, but they can give you 4x or 5x, that's exceeding value. That's what we're looking for. So want to find somebody that not only gets a sufficient amount of minutes, but gets a couple of touches, has the possibilities of getting hot because they're streaky shooters, and that opens up the doors for us to have more fantasy points and possibly, get 5 or 6x on a player that's, at 3,500, which is supposed to only give you 15. James Perkins, flip a coin. Yep. Throw darts. Yes. Dre, throw darts right there, man. You could throw a dart on Robinson, Swords, Coffee, and Peters if you want. You're gonna have to. If you want to go with 2 stud forwards today, you're gonna have to take 2. You're gonna have to take 2 value plays in the other 2 spots at forward. And there you go. You got Swords. You got Coffee. You could go as high as Robinson at 3,600 and maybe even Marissa Coleman at 39. Maybe even Little at 4. So I say from Little down, those are the girls you're looking at. Throw a dart and see which one comes up. For me, I would say I'm definitely leaning towards Swords, and I like Peters the best. That's just me. That's my opinion. I'm not sure. Swords. Yeah, I like Swords. Oh yeah, well, Devin, yeah, everybody has their opinion, man. She could possibly be, it's either gonna be her or it's gonna be Peters. That are probably gonna be highly owned as far as the value. I don't mind. I think what I'm looking at when I look at this slate, I'm looking to see if I can definitely get someone solid up front. In the backcourt, as far as a stud, or in the front court, that's going to definitely have a massive game. And I can live with the fact that Swords or Peters is chalky. And chalky meaning like they're probably 80, 90%. I mean, if they're 50%, that's considered pretty high, but that's not excessive. Cheap guard, Claridon. Yeah. I mean, you could go that route. I say cheap guard. I had said that I like Nurse at 4, and down here at the bottom, January, man, 3,800. I mean, Jefferson 3,600, but I think January is getting the minutes now. She's starting to get back in the rotation a little bit. You could go all the way down to 36 and take Stephanie here. 3,500. I mean, I don't know. She doesn't get enough run for me, But again, if this game gets out of control and Connecticut has a 10, 15-point lead, yeah, I can see where Miss Clarendon might get some time on the floor. You're welcome, Angel. Yep, Robinson and Little rotate bigger minutes every other game. Yeah, I noticed that too. It's like so go with the one that is going to get the more minutes. I think that's probably Robinson today. I'm not going to be on her today, but I think Little's still getting 20-somewhat minutes. 19. This is crazy. 32 minutes here, then 7 and 19. It's just so ridiculous, man. So ridiculous. Angel Robinson. Yeah, 22, 10, 11. Yeah, I mean, Robinson only played 11 minutes last night, so she may have the major minutes today. But I doubt it because, like I said, they brought in Peters. Peters put in 14 minutes last night. Peters hasn't been playing. She just got signed, so I something tells me Peters is going to get maybe in the 20 to 25 minute range today. Zooey B of New York. Who asked that question? Orlando? Yeah, Orlando Harris. I'm not on the, when it comes to the New York front court, I think today, don't fall asleep on Marissa Coleman. I don't know, man. Amanda could prove me wrong. I've tried her several times before. I'm not high on her. I'm not high on any of the front court players of New York other than Tina Charles. She is definitely the best player, hands down, on the team, and it's unfortunate that she has to, brunt all this on her own. But I think Kia Vaughn is probably in a good spot today. She's going to step up. I think she's going to be the one to step up, and if not, then it'll be Marissa Coleman. Brandy Ortega, yeah, is Tina Charles going to be defending Agumake? Yeah, she might be. There's been times that she has, and there are those times that she lines up against Miss Thomas. So again, if Agumake is playing very well, then you could definitely see Tina Charles defending Shanae Agumake. I just still like the matchup with knowing that both of those girls are going to be rotating within that defense of New York with the Marissa Colemans and the Vaughns in front, other than Tina Charles. I don't think Tina Charles can handle all these girls, but I think today, I think Shanae has the best chance, at least in my opinion. But then again, Alyssa Thomas is in play, guys. I'm just saying, for me, if I'm going to choose one of the two, I cannot go with the two together. I'd rather go with just with Shanae if I'm going to use one of the front court players from Connecticut. Yeah, Kia Nurse. Yeah, I mentioned I like Kia Nurse at 4,000. I think somebody from New York off the bench is gonna have to come out and do well. If Sugar Rogers plays well, then that's gonna definitely, hurt Miss Nurse a little bit, and especially if Brittany Boyle is at least playing, fairly well. But if Boyd gets into a little bit of trouble or she's not shooting that well, I could see Kia Nurse coming in, and especially if the game gets into a blowout situation, I can see that happening too. They do have Connecticut favored by a whole lot of points, and I don't know where they're getting that from. These two teams have played each other twice, and both times they were very competitive games. So anything gives, anything can happen here. Both teams have had the time off, so we'll see who comes off in the second half and come out with guns blazing. We'll find out tonight. All right. That's pretty much where I'm at, guys. I mean, we got 15 minutes until lock. Obviously, I want to give myself one more last look. I think I'm good with my lineups. But it gives you guys a few moments to do your thing as well. Again, man, I appreciate you guys coming out. Like always, man, this is always definitely fun for me. I'm really starting to love getting on here and talking with you guys some basketball. I look forward to all the other sports we have coming during the course of the rest of the year. But let's focus on just the WNBA. Let's try to get this money today. I definitely would like to win something today. I've been playing mostly strictly GPPs the last 2 weeks. I haven't played any cash games because I've been just trying to find the right lineup to try to get up there. I've come close a few times, made a few dollars, but not anything extravagant, not to the point of coming in the top 4 or 5, maybe in the top 300, 400. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. Yeah, Gumake's minutes. Yeah, I'm seeing that last question there. Yeah, I mean, I'm worried of that too, man. But I just today, I mean, Connecticut, they haven't been that good in the last few games before the All-Star break. So they need to come out with guns blazing. And I think, Agumake for me is going to have, well, I could be wrong. I've been wrong several times already. I think, in my mind, I think she's going to have a fairly good game. But again, I love Jasmine Thomas too for Connecticut today. I love the backcourt of Connecticut, period. But I don't want to really stack up the two guards. I rather, even though Courtney Williams plays pretty much a lot of forward as well, I definitely like Jasmine Thomas against New York today. As one of those girls in that 6K range. But yeah, it's a little weary for Agumake at 7,400. It's a little pricey. But this is Fanduel again, 2-game slate. Anything can happen. Mix and match any way you can. Get the best possible matchups. I think that's not a bad matchup for her. She's a solid player. So I'm going with her in a few of my lineups today as one of my top guys, top girls. All right, guys, man, that's pretty much it, man. I appreciate you guys again coming out, man. Of course, like always, man. If it's your first time here, please subscribe down below, man. I do a WNBA video every 2-game slate or more. So there'll be another one tomorrow. Tomorrow's another 2-game slate. And then we'll be here again with the live show again tomorrow to discuss that slate. I wish you guys a lot of luck. And let me know, man. Comment down below. Let me know if you're having some success. I want that interaction. And also, don't forget, we have a Facebook group, DFS Zone. Go to Facebook. Definitely join the group. I will, I'll get the notification, and right away I will let you guys get in, and we'll have discussions there. We'll be able to, talk about whatever, anything sports. It doesn't have to be DFS because I'm into pretty much everything. But that's just another place where we can actually be able to interact as a community. All right, guys? So with that being said, man, good luck tonight. Make those lineups, man. Got a few minutes left. Let's get it. Let's get that money.